Rabbit because I just moved to the States from Germany, kind of settled in, and then we had finished the infamous Black Cauldron. We were starting on Oliver and Company. So I'd done some development work on that, and then I had the chance to meet Richard Williams sort of socially at Academy events, and I thought he was a really cool guy, got on with him really well. And then months later, actually, he said, I never worked for Disney. I don't think I ever would, but I think I will. I said, what do you mean? And he says, well, there's this thing that they're trying to revive. It's called Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's based on a book, and it's going to be live action and animation. Robert Zemeckis is already involved, and okay, interesting, and he said, you should come. We're going to do the whole thing in London. I said, I just got here recently, not so long ago. I don't want to go back to Europe. And so I basically told him no, but he kept giving me more information. Even one time we had dinner in his car, in the trunk, he had his first model sheet of Roger Rabbit, all with color markers. He said, look, that's what the rabbit is going to be. That's nice. But I still wasn't interested, but he kept feeding me information, and then he said, oh, Spielberg is also going to be involved, and he said, really don't want to miss this, because this is going to be big, gigantic budget. And then one day, Dick Williams and Don Hahn, producer of the animation, not the film, but the animation on Roger Rabbit, he said, let's go have a Mexican dinner in Burbank, in this little Mexican place. So we had our chips and salsa and the margarita, and Don and Dick just laid it on thick. It's going to be so amazing, you have to be a part of it. And I was like, okay, twist my arm. And thank God, because I would have been really upset if I had not worked on that and had worked on Burbank stuff that was going on at that time, which was to me really less interesting. So yeah, that's how I ended up on Roger Rabbit. The car from Heathrow Airport takes you straight to the studio in Camden in London. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? So people were already working. I wasn't the first artist on it. They were already working on the Maroon cartoon, the opening, because they had no live action in it. So a little easier. And Dick Williams says, welcome to London. Here's your first scene. He said, you're going to do the first live action scene. You're going to do the ostrich from Fantasia. We have the photostats, the photographs of the live action. And that's your first scene. I'd never worked with live action before. I knew that it was going to be that. I had a rough idea but how that works, but I'd never done it. So you study the ostrich from Fantasia, do model sheet studies and all of that to get to know the character. And the ostrich was supposed to be like a little diva, going up the stairs while Hoskins comes out of Maroon's office, and they meet halfway up the stairs and they exchange a look, and the ostrich just does this, and kind of walks through the door, like who are you, basically. So you have to get a little attitude in there, and that was the first live action combination scene animated. Yeah, that was the first one, and it happened to be mine. And so I got it approved by Richard Williams. Of course, the camera was moving, so that's a little more difficult than Mary Poppins or Bedknobs and Broomsticks, where the camera is locked. In Roger Rabbit, the camera is not locked. It does all kinds of nasty things, It does not just fast camera moves, but handheld, like this. Which, when you see the photostats, you flip the photostats, the whole background is doing that. And how the hell do you lock your rabbit or whatever onto something like this? I'm not going to explain how I did it. It's a little complicated, but I developed my own system on how to do that. And every animator had their own way of dealing with this craziness. But we did, and but the big payoff came, it was, 3 weeks later. We had sent all the elements, the pencil test, the effects, paper animation, the blocked in shadows and highlights, all that was sent to ILM, because this was not done digitally. This was done the old-fashioned optically. Yeah. And so the scene comes back in color, you know. And we have dailies. This was the first thing coming up, and I literally went like, I said, is the whole film gonna look like that? Like with all the shadows and the character really in the scene, and the thing, yeah, the whole film's gonna look like that. I said, I'm so glad to be on this film. Oliver and company can stay in Burbank. You know? This is for me. So, let's see if I can still do this. So Roger Rabbit was one of the easiest characters to animate because he's so squishy, squashy, and cartoony, and yeah, I mean, he deviates in terms of the way he looks from scene to scene quite often, actually. But you don't notice because he's got eyes like these gigantic ostrich eggs, you know, and cartoony hands. And if you're a little bit off, nobody notices. You know? It's not like animating Princess Jasmine or even Gaston. You know, you're a little bit off with one eye, and the character looks like E.T. You know, so you have to be really careful with characters that have realism. But Roger Rabbit, piece of cake. But putting him in the movie with the camera work, that was the challenge. You know? So I'm gonna do 2 drawings. Yeah, I should do 2 drawings. So I'm gonna do first a drawing, like he's gonna point at something or show something. It's been a while. All right. Finish this. See if I do the ears like this, and not only like this. So the ears are going to be something like this. And yeah. Yeah, I think out of all the characters that I've done, even more so than Mickey Mouse, he was the easiest. It was just easy, you know, basic mix of Disney, Warner Brothers, you know. I have no idea where I'm going with this. I'm making it up as I go, so bear with me. This, and then here, I'm going to do the same thing. And I'm going to have his body arch this way. So that means he's got that bow tie over here. He's got the straps right here. And then if you want to complete it, do the other hand, do like this, that, and do the whiskers, and his tail will be somewhere here. So this is what you would call an anticipation for something dramatic, you know, for outgoing pose. So I would then, you can see, let me explain what I actually tried to do. I did this on purpose, you know, this shape, you know, with this and that. This is a down shot, you know, and of course then the basic ears, you know. So I'm going to reverse that as he's coming out of that and just do it proudly, showing something like that. The old cliche, you know, ta-da, kind of thing. So that was going on through my head while I was doing that. So now I'm going to put him right here. Open his eyes. Reverse the direction of the hair on top of his head. Open his mouth. And the ears, I would also reverse those, because they would be doing this. So what you're looking for is change, you know, change of direction, change of the action line. Because if things stay the same, then things are rigid. You know, you're always looking for change. A little something going on there, and he would maybe his bow tie. Let's start with some details. We'll be doing this. You can even drag the whiskers a little bit, so they actually bend more because there's a little weight attached to them, even those light hairy bits. And I would also have these things kind of drag that way. Whenever you flip, you're always trying to, you know, create that change because you know that's what's going to loosen it up. Let's say this arm here is going to be almost straightened out. And this one here, this would be the ta-da. The thing, when you do something like that, it's absolutely critical that that arm, which is not going to be stretched out, lines up with this. I can't have it start here, you know, or here. It has to kind of follow this action line right there. So I need to do this right there. And your old-fashioned Mickey Mouse hands. Go like this. And I'm now reversing his overall body curvature. Remember all those details, how that all fit together here, you know. It kind of gets a little busy in there, especially with those polka dots, but I'm not going to draw those on right now. And his tail will be kind of behind his hand or something like that at that point. So there you have, so let's say this would be one, and if we would go into a quick action right away, this would probably be, it could be 7. And I want to favor this drawing, because that's the key one. This is only the anticipation. I would probably do 1, 7, and I would, yeah, let's get right into it. 2, 3, And then I would do these little arty things to give my assistant, say, can you please draw me number 2, where everything is right in the middle. Then draw me number 3, which is between those 2 drawings. And then, and then 4, 5, 6. So you slow into this one, so it'd be that kind of thing, you know. In regular feature animation, I would probably not even ask for 4. I would go from 3 to 5 right away and switch to 2s, because the action is slowing down, and you get away with 2s, photographing each drawing twice. So I probably would have the last part on 2s, but on Roger Rabbit, that was verboten, because Richard Williams said, the live action is on 1s, whatever the actors do, so we have to be on 1s. There's 1 or 2 scenes in Roger Rabbit where an animator tried to put the motion on 2s, and it was very slow motion, and it just sticks out like a sore thumb, you know. It doesn't have that, it's needed to be extra smooth. So the whole film had to be on 1s, which really almost doubles your workload. It was lots and lots of in-betweens. And then Dick Williams had this crazy theory anyway, he would even go beyond and say, because even he, for his own work, his own film, didn't believe in 2s very much. He said, life is on 1s, so good animation has to be on 1s. And I'm like, well, what about Frank and Ollie's work, and Milt Kahl and Mark Davis? They go, there's quite a bit on 2s. Yeah, but only they could do it. Only they could do that. They were genius. He had his own logic sort of in his head, and I kind of like, whatever works for you. But for this project, the whole thing was on 1s. You know, it was a lot of drawing, lots of overtime, and I think all worth it.